Hello? Hello, hello. How are we today? I hope we're doing good. Welcome to the critique stream. Yeah, today we're doing our short form critiques well, today it's all character designs and I think one illustration. No, wait. There's also a comic page. But yeah, that's what we're going to be going over today. So, if any of our lovely Patreon supporters are here, I can jump in to your critiques. Oh, hey, Pigment. Hello. Hello, hello. Because we have Pigment, we have LesBean, and we have Ink. Oh, hello, Ink. Welcome. I'm at work right now. When would be a good time for you to go, Pigment? Do you want to go now or do you want to wait till a little later? Like wait till you're on break. Go second? Yeah, no problem. So, Ink, would you like to go first? When I'm on break? Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, because I don't see Bean here. Though, who knows? Maybe they're just being quiet. Let's do it? Okay, awesome. All right, let's go. Okay, so let's see what your comments say. For this one, it's a second pass at Viren. Yep, because we looked at her design last time. Some more feedback on the design. You want the vibe she's given off, color scheme, is it working together, details and accessories, and anything feeling off. And then you have her vibe once I give my my interpretation. And then the second one you've got is an illustration. Okay. I copy-pasted the questions from last time? Okay. Because I do know her vibe a little bit, because she's supposed to be a villain where she's, like, been taken over by these evil organization stuff. So yeah, she looks very... Her expression is very, like, dead inside. She looks very, like... Yeah, just very subdued and tired and a little scary. I think that's the vibe I'm getting. Yeah. Scary warrior lady is definitely it. Yes. And looking at the vibe, she's a broken person, apparently. So I think you got that vibe very well. It's very much in her face, where she looks very, like, stone cold. Very, like, dead in the eyes, kinda. If that makes sense. Okay, so then, yeah, because I remember from her design last time, she was missing some kind of details on her costuming. Dead Inside is a good read. Tired. Yeah, tired. She's just got, like, that 1,000-yard stare. If that makes sense. Anyways, yeah, so last time her costuming was very simple, and I see you've added some more details, and I think it's a really good step. I think yeah, just adding more of those details, kind of bringing the color scheme through her design, where like I see you've brought in like the gold highlights throughout. Her armor is feeling more cohesive and pieced together. I remember last time it felt a bit more like a dress, or now this is feeling a bit more like armor. Yeah. And I like how you've got a lot of the shapes running throughout. Like you've got these kind of like bat wing spike kind of motif going through, where it's on her shoulder pads, it's on her little ear cuff. You can even see you've got it kind of going through this little what would you call it? Like a skirt cover kind of thing. Around the underpart of the skirt. You can even see it on the details on the leg pieces. Yeah, it's just nice. You got it running through this very serrated kind of vibe to everything. And I think it gives her like a very like roughed up kind of appearance. And yeah, and it goes well with like this like magic influence thing that she's got going on her neck, and like, yeah, just great little cohesive shape motif kind of echoed through everything. So that's great. I like the shape of her shield. It is interesting seeing a character who seems to be using like a short blade with a shield. I feel like normally you'll see like a longer sword with shields. Where like a shorter knife feels very I guess if I'm thinking like stereotypically about like weapons for fantasy characters, like a character who has like short blades, I feel like they focus very much on like being really fast and dexterity and stuff, where they're diving in and out with their little quick knives, if that makes sense. Whereas like when you'll see a shield, it's usually someone who's like yeah, they'll usually have more of like a full sword. So then they're like, or even a spear, where it's got that more kind of like war feel to it. To have a shield, it feels more like a guard or a someone fighting in a war kind of thing. So it is interesting seeing her with a shorter blade and a shield. The shield does go along with like the rest of her design, because her armor feels very like knight like. So yeah, hopefully that matches up with like the her fighting style in the story. Yeah, I'd be curious kind of what is her style? Like is she like a knight type or a warrior type? Yeah, what is it? I'm curious. What's kind of the role she's playing here? What's her job? An aggressive knight. Okay, then I can definitely see that. I might change up her blade. It just feels very small to me. It feels like a knife more than even a short sword. And I think it's because it's got a very like small handle and a very short blade. Hi, Kuro. Where yeah, it feels more knife-like to me, where even if like it was a short sword, I feel like there'd be more of a hilt and the blade might be a bit bigger compared to like a long sword or a, you know, one of those larger type swords. It would be like a smaller version of that, but this feels very knife-like. So if you are going for a knight, I might go with like a more detailed sword. It could match the same motif as her shield, like using these kind of like starburst serrated shapes. Like bringing that into the handle and the hilt would be really cool. And I think you can even have this serrated blade, because that works really well with the rest of her design. But I think it just needs to be more, it needs to be bigger. It needs to feel more like a sword. To me, at least. Obviously, if that's not where you want to go, then ignore me. Yeah. I also think, this is getting very nitpicky, I think her colors, so I think her colors are very cohesive. Like the pinky purple of her outfit really like complements the color of like her skin and her wings. And I really like how you have the contrast between like the darker bluish skin and then the lighter outfit. I would say though, around her face is like very dark. So she has like the dark hair, and obviously like her skin is a darker tone. Whereas like her lower half is like all bright just because she's so armored up. I'd be curious about bringing possibly some darker pieces into the bottom or bringing some lighter pieces into her face. A little bit. Like I like how you have the pink in her eyes because that does match with like her outfit. But it feels just, it's so dark around her face and then so light around her lower half. I think that just needs to be balanced a little bit. Totally depends on what you want to do. You could put armor pieces in her hair. You could give her, you know, maybe not in this design, but maybe another one she has a helmet. Obviously, like with a comic, you don't always want your character in a helmet because even if they would, per their, you know, their job or their role, you want the face showing so you can be emotive. Yeah, make the boots match the shield color, definitely. That could help. Yeah, or maybe bring in some of the black of her hair somewhere, whether that's like, I don't know, it could be a design etched onto her armor, it could be belts or clips used. Yeah, just bring that in a bit more. Because it's, yeah, because with the magic kind of cracks on her neck, like it's very dark. It matches her hair very well. She's got the dark hair. Yeah, and that's just missing from the lower half. So bringing that in somehow, I think would really help balance it out. Um, yeah. Do you have any other questions on this one? Is there anything I didn't cover here? I think that makes sense. Oh. Okay, let me know if you have any other questions, but I can move on to your other piece. So you're looking for general stuff for this one. How's the perspective and environmental storytelling? So the perspective is great, for one. There's definitely a very good sense of space with the angle that we're looking at this city. And yeah, just your use of like overlapping, the perspective you're using, some of the lighting going on throughout, and some of these like atmospheric effects with the mist kind of going through the treetops. Like it creates a lot of depth, which is awesome. And it feels very cohesive with the perspective. I know you've, in the past, I've like, I've pointed out issues with like things feeling like they're on different planes, and the perspectives like not matching. But this one feels very cohesive. It feels like everything is like where it should be. So that's awesome. Like this is fantastic. Yeah, I love in particular a lot of the subtle stuff going on with this like back wall. It looks like they're in a cavern and there's some light maybe coming in from above, like over here. But yeah, but I love these like really small details just showing like these are carvings in rock because we see a little bit of shadow showing like the embossed stone carvings. And I love these roots that are like growing on top of everything. Like that's great. And yeah, and the lighting, just having this very subtle beam of light coming down from above and like the way it's illuminating these buildings and illuminating part of this wall, it gives this very like it helps a lot with like the spatial reading and like gives a lot of life to it, if that makes sense. And like it's very subtle stuff. Like it's just like a very small gradient kind of going on here, but it gives it shows kind of how the space is working. I also really like how you have these like little you know, it's far away, so I can't tell if it's like trees or moss or vines or stuff, but I like how it's growing up on all the stone at the back. That's a really cool touch. And yeah, like I said, I love this kind of mist effect you've got going on with these like trees down below the city, where you can see it kind of spiraling through everything down below. And it is a very cool. This is a cool setting. I like how there's a city, there's like a forest below. It seems like it's in a cavern as well. Yeah, there's a lot of intrigue to it. Um, I think another thing that really helps with like how the space is working, I like how you have your characters in the foreground. And they're really treated with like the brightest colors, so they really stand out against your kind of darker, more neutral tones in the background. But your colors are feeling very cohesive as well. So like this light coming down from above, it's bringing in some of these like kind of creamy yellows you've got going on in these creatures, like the fur and the wings, which is awesome. The purples of your more humanoid characters are really like they stand out because they're the only purples here. Same with like these light blues, but they still blend in well. They mesh well with like the blues and greens of your background here. So this is like awesome. This is so good, like color wise, contrast wise. I think you could push the shadows more. I think like if you were to go further with this illustration, I think where it is right now is like awesome. This would be like a good place to stop. If you wanted to push it to like the next level, I think what you could do is go into some of these places and add even darker shadows in the background. So like the farthest place from this like shaft of light is like right here near the foreground. We've got these like big building structures. Just darkening these shadows on the far side, going in kind of defining some of these planes, like these bridges going between buildings, using some darker shadows to really carve those out. And even you have to be careful where you go with it, because bringing in too much detail down here could take away from like the foreground. But just going in and like bringing in some shadows on these plants the way you have here, where you've got some highlight up top and some shadow here, just going in, darkening in those shadows a little bit, I think could really help define things, and just keeping in mind like where your light is coming from. But yeah, this is so cool. I feel like so much is being said about this place that they're in, because we're seeing like statues, we're seeing I don't know, what could be like a stadium or a park or like a fountain, I'm not sure, but like we're seeing these etchings of battles going on in the background. Clearly this is a place where like it's elevated but it's underground. There's like bridges going between the different sections. It's very reminiscent of like those kind of cyberpunk cities, but it's, you know, it still feels very ancient. It's very fantasy instead of sci-fi. It's really cool. This is awesome. It also feels kind of abandoned. I think just because how overgrown everything is, it feels very apocalyptic, kind of. Like this has been an abandoned place and these people are finding it. It's cool. Yeah. Did you have any questions on this one, Ink? Is there anything you were wondering about that I haven't covered? Hi, Yoshiko. Welcome. I'll take the perspective W. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. This is awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Ink. Thanks for submitting. Pigment, are you here? Are you on break? If you are still working, I could go to LesBean's submission first. I'm not on break yet. Yep, that's no problem. I can do LesBean submissions. Hi, Bones. Oh, hello. Hi, mister.
You look so dumb with your glasses.
Shut up. I look cool with my glasses. Okay, Bean. I don't know if you're here. Hopefully, if you are not here, you can see this afterwards and you can message me on Discord if you do have questions. Okay. So, what you said... Yep, so you're working on character designs. And you're... Okay, it seems like just general feedback you're looking for. I'll check your earlier messages. Okay. Okay, so general stuff on these characters. Okay, so... I'm assuming these characters are from the same story. They all have this very, like, steampunk, gothic feel to them. And using a lot of the same colors. So I'm assuming they're all from the same story. Same vibes. Okay, so let's start with this lovely lady with her her little plague mask. So since you have a character who's got like a plague mask, I'm thinking this is a world where there's... Okay, yeah, just from the hints I'm seeing from all the characters, there's clearly like ghosts and spirits. There's like probably necromancy involved. Yeah, very, very gothic feeling, very Bloodborne, though it has a lot more of like a kind of lighter cutesy feel to it compared to Bloodborne. But yeah, but anyways, yeah, so I'm guessing this character, she's either... She could be like a priest kind of character, or like an undertaker kind of character. Something in there, because we've got the coffin, we've got the crosses. It feels very like priest or undertaker kind of vibe. Yeah, and there's so through all the designs, there's kind of this red... Well, maybe not with this guy. There's a bit of the gold going through. He's very red and blue. Same with this character here, where she's more purple, black, and gold. A little bit of red from like the hair and the boots and stuff. So So that's interesting. It feels like she's a villain because of that, because the main kind of like contrast color on the other characters is that bright kind of bloody red, where she's more, the main contrast color is this very like bright pinky purple color. Hold on, sorry, I'm changing the music. I can't handle the lyrics going on while I'm talking. It keeps distracting me. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, so her contrast color is very different. Purple's also like a very villainous color, so I feel like I'm purple can be either kind of villainous just because it's the primary colors, you know, red, yellow, and blue tend to be protagonist colors, and then green, purple, and I guess it would be orange tend to be more focused with villains. It's usually purple and green because they're kind of like that poisonous kind of color scheme. But anyways, I'm going on a tangent here. But anyways, yeah, she feels very villainous.
Orange is like fire.
What?
Orange is like fire.
Oh, orange is like fire. Yeah, yeah. So I can see that for villains.
Or like in
Sorry? Hollow Knight? Oh yeah, Hollow Knight is.
Orange can be
True, orange can be creepy. Or like the Eye of Sauron or whatever.
Yeah.
That's bright orange. It can be scary. Oh, hello, LesBean. Hello. So I just started your critique. So you haven't missed very much. I'm here. Hello. Welcome. So I was just speculating on if this character is Garfield. Yes, Garfield is the villainous orange. It's true. I was speculating on if this character is a villain because her color scheme is very different than the other two, where the other two feel very similar in color. You're on a conference call? Oh no. So we've got LesBean on a call and we've got Pigment working. Oh no. Pigment, are you able to go right now? We didn't get very many submissions this month because a lot of people did the long form. So we only have 2 people and they're both busy.
One of them has to go.
One of them's gotta go. What, you don't want your stuff critiqued, Bones?
I'm perfect.
Okay, what I might do, Bean, is cover... Am I the last one? You're not the last one, but Pigment will be our last one, but currently they're working and want to wait till they're on break. So, you're both currently busy, but one of you has to go. So what I could do is continue yours, Bean, and then maybe as I'm covering Pigment's stuff, you could backtrack and watch it. And then let me know if you have questions after. Would that work? Maybe, hopefully. Also, I don't know how you're on a... you're close to break, so you're okay with going? Okay. All right. If that is okay by you. Roast random designs from Google. Yes, you're right. Okay, Pigment, we'll jump to you. Okay, so... All right, so you had a comic page. You have 2 designs. You submitted another one just as reference for contrast to one of the characters, and then another character design. Okay, so I'll start with the character designs. I'm in the back room so I can use headphones. Okay, good. Good, good. Okay, I'll start with the character designs and I'll do the comic page last. Okay, so then this is Xiong, I believe. He's the god of war and death, and he's Jira's brother. And this is Jira as contrast. Okay. So he's supposed to be the opposite of her, equal but opposite to like her powers and stuff. Okay. Okay, and looking for general critique. Okay. Okay. All right. So comparatively, obviously you're using the contrasting colors. So blue is the opposite of orange. So obviously you've got that going there. So that works. He definitely has that warrior's feel, considering he's in armor. He's got the scar on his face and on his neck and stuff. Actually, he's got scars everywhere. I didn't notice that. But yeah, so he definitely has warrior vibes. It's very like Asian inspired armor as well. It has that vibe, and I know that Jira had that same kind of vibe as well. So that's cool. Let's see. They both have this kind of halo magical stuff going on. And the golden eyes as well. So yeah, so I like how he's got the gold stuff going through, because he's got like the gold, obviously the halo magic effect. He's got like the hair ribbon, the eyes. He's got some. The only other gold is on his some etching on his shin pads, and then on his belt. Okay, so he's got some detailing on the coat. Not the coat, but like the undershirt. Okay, Jira is based on South Asia, and Xiong is based on China and Japan. Interesting. Yeah, so I think... So looking at the colors, I think you've got a good base here where you're balancing the blue and the gold. And then he has some kind of like gray, like a blue tinted gray throughout with the armor. And his skin and like the details on his weapon, like the wood and the it seems like this kind of magical glowy metal that has the blue, and then you've got kind of the gold going through these kind of like not hilt pieces but connecting pieces. So I feel like the colors are there. I think the balance is off a little bit. He's got all his warm colors kind of up top around his face, currently with his weapon because he's holding it up, but on his arms, whereas like his lower half is all very cool colors, with the exception of these kind of yellow gold patches on his middle and then on his shins. Everything else is very cool. I'm wondering if there's some way you can bring these kind of like warm, darker colors throughout. It's hard because like he probably wouldn't have his skin showing everywhere, obviously. But even if you could just bring in like maybe more of this wood that he's got going on in the weapon, bringing in maybe some or some more kind of like bronzy gold throughout, that could also work. And And then the opposite issue is kind of happening with this really rich blue going on, where he's got some like lighter blue like through the metal of the weapon with the undershirt, and then some of these like lighter metal pieces, but this very like rich blue here as like the like around his belt and like some of the underclothing here. It feels like it should be one of those like strong highlight colors, and I'd like to see it more kind of brought through the top. So like yeah, it could mean bringing it in on his arm somehow, maybe like from I don't know, some ropes or thread or something around his face or on like the kind of like collarbone neck area. Something like that, just to bring it up, just to kind of balance out those colors as well. I also personally, I don't know if like this fits with the character. And obviously with any of this, disregard it if it doesn't fit with like your vision of the character. But his arms being bare feels strange to me unless it has like a plot significance. Oh, I felt torn giving him decorations because you don't know if he'd wear them. Got it. Where he's more kind of like a bare bones kind of no flourishes, I guess, kind of. Yeah, just doesn't wear a lot of decoration. Interesting. But, oh right, but what I was saying, his arms being bare feels weird. I feel like doing maybe like a cloth wrap on his hands or even just like some gauntlets or something would kind of help bring that together. It might even balance out the armor on his legs if he has more stuff on his arms. Give him longer sleeves. Yeah, you could. That could be one way to do it. Longer sleeves, giving him gloves or like a wrap, like a cloth or bandages or something. Something like that. I feel like that would bring it together with the rest of his armor. Another way to maybe bring some of the warmer colors into his shoes are maybe giving him oh, I don't know the proper name for it, but those giving him maybe like wooden sandals or something like that. Yeah, I don't know the proper names for anything, but like maybe having his feet can be like wrapped in cloth and then he's wearing like the wooden sandals or wooden shoes, something like that. Instead of using like these metal boots. Yeah, because I think that's the only thing. Because his silhouette is very strong. He feels very powerful. I like how there's this interesting balance between he's got very square kind of shapes going throughout. Like you can see it with the pieces of his weapon, but there's also this like circle theme going through with like the decorations on his belt. Obviously, his little like rivets and studs going through everything. He's got the halo, and then this. I really like this. The shape of his weapon. It's really interesting having this like circle kind of going on. Where it feels like he's, he'll go around spinning his weapon and stuff. But yeah, so shape-wise, it feels very strong. I think it's just a balance of like the different elements that needs a bit of tweaking. The only other thing I would say is he feels very bottom heavy. It might be just the angle you were drawing, but his torso feels very small, and his head and his legs feel very large. It could just be a perspective issue, but you may want to change that if maybe you want him to be like kind of a bigger chested guy. Oh, it separates to two sides. Oh, that's also cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Did you have any other questions about him? That's good. Awesome. So I'll work on the other character. So this is Forsythia. She's another character in the campaign. She's a main villain that the party has to defeat. She's based on Queen Alexandria's... Oh, a Queen Alexandria's birdwing butterfly. Oh, those are so pretty. And general critique. So I definitely think you've got the butterfly inspiration down, where obviously like her silhouette is very, you've got the bird wings, the insect wings going on. The colors are there from what I remember of that butterfly. The forearms definitely gives that kind of like insect vibe. Same with the eyes, and obviously the antenna tufts and the little throat tuft stuff. So yeah, you got the vibes down. The clothing also feels very again Asian inspired. Yeah, that kind of Chinese and Japanese inspiration, possibly. I'm not super well versed, so I apologize if I got that wrong. Definitely in the shape of the clothing. Especially in like the sleeves and the wrap around the waist. But yeah, there's also a bit of like a flower motif going on. It feels kind of with the pattern on the fan, as well as like these shapes in the skirt are very like petal-like. Vietnamese. Okay, I was totally off. But yeah, there's definitely some kind of like flower shapes as well. I feel it a lot in these, the shoulder pieces, and like I said, the shape of the robe, at the bottom, and then with the patterns, and the colors, obviously, because butterflies tend to have, very plant colors. She has plant magic. Awesome. Color-wise, this is very cohesive. So, like, everything feels very balanced. Like, I like how her dark hair, it feels very balanced with, like, the dark on the wings. Same with, like, the wrap around the waist. There's also a great use of, like, the gold color. Like, you have it down the front of her robes and dress. We have, like, the gold in the wings. And then it's also there through like her skin tone, the little details on her fan, on the antenna, and the ruff. Yeah, it just feels very balanced and cohesive. I love the contrast between like the white of the robe mixed with like the dark in the blues and greens. And yeah, it's just very well balanced, very great contrast throughout the design. It feels very cohesive color wise and very well balanced color and contrast wise. She's got a very interesting silhouette where it's very... It just... I love how her hair feels, obviously, like it's not attached to the wings and stuff, but it feels like it leads into it. It's very cohesive silhouette-wise. Because, like, the dress follows with it, the wings follow with it, her hair. Yeah, it's just awesome. The only thing I would say that I'm not sure about, I like the shape of it, especially the white pieces on top of the greens. But I'm just finding the way her dress is like resting on the ground doesn't make sense, like gravitational wise, unless she's a character who's like levitating off the floor. Where like these triangle pieces at the bottom would be touching the floor and kind of like folding against the floor, if that makes sense. Or we'd see like her feet below them, so then they wouldn't be touching the floor. But yeah, so I would possibly recommend maybe following... I would keep the triangular pieces for this like white part of the robe, and maybe turn these green pieces into something more akin to the wings, where they feel like they have weight, they feel like they're touching the ground, and they have that kind of like softer scalloped look to them, possibly. And then you'd have the contrast of these like triangular pieces on top that wouldn't have to rest on the ground, but these like the under pieces of the gown would, if that makes sense. I think that could help bring the shape of her skirt and mix it in with the wings as well. That could be really interesting. But yeah, her design is so cool. I really like this one. That makes sense? Okay. Cool. I think that's it. I think this is really strong. Did you have any questions about it? Was there anything you were wondering about or struggling with? But this is super strong design-wise. I also really like the way you've drawn her hands. They're very pretty. Not really? Awesome. Cool. So I'll move on to your comic page then. Okay. Okay, so you're just looking for general critique. Right. So this is where Nyx travels to talk to the goddess. And then, okay, so this is Nyx here. I was really proud of those hands. You should be. They're so pretty. I love how you've got this just kind of like soft curve in everything. It's really nice. Okay, so yeah, so this is where Nyx is talking with the goddess from your comic. So first off, I love these top 3 panels where you see the little goddess clouds turn into her. I think that's awesome. And yeah, having the uniform shape, and having it only shift like a little bit between panels just has that forward motion where like something is happening quickly, sequentially. You know, instead of jumping around to different angles, we can see exactly what's happening. So that's awesome. This looks great. I love how all the shapes come in to form like the different pieces of her clothing, like with the gold and the pink of her horns. I think that's awesome. I also love these pages. I think the colors you've chosen for these like scenes are awesome. I love the pink and the teal and the purple. It just melds really well together. And the goddess stands out really well because of the yellow contrast. Oh yeah, totally. It's totally clear. I was like, yeah. I get it. Yeah. No, this is awesome. Yeah, and compositionally for the whole page, this is great because you've got we've got our goddess who's in the focal point here at the bottom. It's very balanced with these panels up top. Yeah, it's very easy to tell where to look. It's got good flow. Yeah, compositionally this is great. Color-wise, it's great. The only thing I would say is I find NYX gets a little lost in this, and I also find the typography is getting lost in this as well. So I like this here where the goddess says hello NYX. It's got good contrast obviously because it's white on black. I think it's a little bit small, however. I think I would recommend making it a little bit bigger, just so it's a little bit easier to read. It's scripty fonts like this, especially because it's such a thin script, it can be difficult to read, even when you have like really good high contrast. I was concerned with NYX in the text, yeah. So I'd recommend making this bigger or possibly using, if this has like a bold version of the font, that could help. But yeah, making it bigger, keep up the good contrast. And then here, it is very difficult to read. I find the background it's on, her skirt, isn't dark enough to carry the white text. So, and it's also small. I think it's suffering from the same problem as above, where it's too small. So I would make it bigger. I would try, if you are going to use it on this color, maybe using black text would help. And if you did want to keep it white to match with up here, you really need to darken the area that it's on. So you could do that by maybe having a gradient on her skirt that kind of turns into this like dark starry sky, and then placing it on the black again. Yeah, play around with it. Oh, okay, so it is going to be black. Okay, because that should have good contrast, and then larger would help. And then with NYX, it's hard because you want to show their size in comparison to the goddess. I like how you have this kind of shadowed cloud where you have this like teal behind it and then it's this darker purple, because that does help draw your attention to it. So I think that's great. You need to keep that. I think part of the problem is that NYX isn't quite on a focal point. I think, honestly, if you move them down and to the left a little bit, that would help. It's hard because you want, like, you want it to look like they can converse. Because, like, obviously the goddess is, like, looking at them. But yeah, I think if you bring them down here, that would help with, because our eyes will go from the text to the goddess who's on a focal point and then down to NYX who's on another focal point and then hopefully over to the text. I think that's the ideal flow that you want. I think that will help because in your following pages, obviously you're going to be showing NYX conversing with the goddess. We're gonna get like a better understanding of like where they are. So I wouldn't worry about like creating more detail around them because your teal effect helps bring attention to it. But yeah, give that a try. If it's still blending in, you could use more of this teal, like maybe brighten it up even a little bit and kind of create like a I don't know, a spotlight or a halo kind of around where Nyx is, like bringing more light in front of them. That could also help draw attention. Yeah, I think that would balance it out. I would also, this is a very small one, but I would recommend darkening. So normally the goddess, like, her eyes stand out quite a lot because you have, like, you know, she has these, like, very bright eyes against, like, the darker purple of her skin. But with her eyes closed, her eyes kind of get lost in her skin tone. I'd recommend darkening the lines here a little bit, just so that her face has the right contrast. Or you could just maybe have some of the light shining through, something like just a line, something like that, just to help with that contrast on her face. Yeah. But otherwise, this is fantastic. Yeah. Did you have any other questions on this? Is there anything I didn't cover? Oh, hey, LesBean. Sweet? Hell yeah. You're good? Awesome. Well, thank you for submitting. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Bean, do you prefer going by Rena or LesBean? Because you have one name on Discord and one on YouTube. I'm fine with either. Saying whatever you want, so. Either's fine. Okay. I'll keep saying LesBean because that's what I see on Discord. Okay. All right. So yes. You may have missed it earlier when you were on your call. But I said that the characters here, they feel very gothic, very oh, there was another word, Victorian-ish. That kind of feel. It's very Bloodborne, but like cutesy Bloodborne. It feels like there's going to be like spirits and necromancy and ghosts and ghouls and all that stuff. It feels very much like that. Yes, and I was saying that this first character feels villainous because of the color choices, where she has this kind of pinky purple. That's exactly the vibe. Hell yeah. Is this other character from the same story? He has a very similar vibe and color scheme, which is why I assumed they're from the same story. But anyways, this lady feels very villainous because the purpley color feels it has a villain connotation to it. Where the use of the red and the gold feels very hero-ish to me. So I was assuming that these two, this guy and our little sword-wielding friend here, are on the good team, and then this is a villain here because of the color story. And I was saying that she feels very either like a priest or undertaker, gravekeeper kind of thing. Maybe like a monster hunter. And I just get that vibe from like the crosses, obviously the Memento Mori piece, and having a big coffin. I also get the priest vibe because of the mask. Mortician, yes. Because of the mask, it's like that plague doctor mask, which was often worn by like doctors and priests, so they wouldn't get all the plague air that they thought was a thing get near them. Oh, she's an anti-hero. I could see that too. I think that also works. But But yeah, I think it just signifies that she's like on a slightly different team than the other characters, if that makes sense. Slightly different alliance is what the color story tells me. So yeah, the vibes are there. I definitely get that feeling from her. And like I love the coat with this like high collar and the cravat bow thing. And I love the hat and the mask combo. It's so good. Where yeah, it feels very Victorian, doctory, and then I love the slit in the skirt, and these belts and stuff. It feels very like fantasy, gonna go kick butt instead of being a proper lady kind of thing. The other guy is a villain, so I could make that more obvious. True. It depends on the role in the story. If he's meant to appear as a friend initially and then become a villain later, having him use very similar colors can work. But if he's on a different team, it may be beneficial to have him using different colors. Unless this red has like some kind of significance in the story where it's like it's important they both use the red. Totally depends on what you want. Like maybe they're on different teams, but they're both like, I don't know, spirit necromancers or something. I don't know. So the red is significant to their powers. Yeah. Okay, so the only thing I would say for this doctor, so I like her design. Overall, I would say, sorry, design-wise, I love it. There's lots of good use of, she's made of like a lot of rectangular shapes. Like you can see it through like the shape of the hat, the crosses, the belt, the shape of the skirt. And then there's some more kind of rounder shapes like the brim of the hat. But yeah, it's got a very good balance of that stuff. The only thing I would say, color story-wise, there's a lot of gold going on in her lower half and very little up top. Up top is very black and this kind of brownish red and the purple. So I'd bring the gold up here somehow, if you could. And the other thing is I think there's a bit of a clash going on between the brownish red in her hair and the belt and like the boots that is clashing with this purple, because it goes well with the black, it goes well with the gold, because it's got those like really warm yellowy orangey notes in it, whereas the purple is so blue, it's got so much blue purpliness to it, where it's yeah, it's just clashing a little bit. So if I would recommend, you either need to pull these kind of brownish reds, you either need to pull them to a more kind of purpley color, like you can still keep the red, but yeah, bring in that purple, or you could take this like bright purple and bring it more to like the red kind of magenta side. Even then, it's hard. It's hard. You might have to shift them both, because right now you've got a very neutral color that's really clashing with this like bright kind of neon color, and they're on very like opposite spectrums of the color wheel, and it's kind of rubbing up against each other weird. Yeah, so I might adjust those a little bit. Yeah, so I think that would be it from me on that one. Do you have any questions about her? Is there anything I didn't cover? About the mortician character? Not particularly? Okay, cool. So I'll move on to this other character here, who I love. This gives me very much like shonen manga feel. I'm like living for my D. Gray Man vibes. But yeah. Color scheme, obviously, you've got this high red contrast, which goes really well with the browns that you've used throughout for like the belt and the boots and the hair, which have that, they share that warmth that also is shared in the gold on the outfit, and then it contrasts really well with the blacks and the grays, and these blues that are used on like the spirits. Yeah, and it really makes the red and the gold pop, because you have these very kind of like desaturated, cool colors, and then you have these warm colors that really like pop, which is great. I love the little ghosties too; they're cute. She gives me like a my brain wants to say exorcist, but that's just because I'm getting T Gray Man vibes. But yeah, it's neat. There's some kind of like Asian Japanese touches to it, like with the what would you call that? I want to say a card, but like the piece on her hat, as well as these tassels like on the shoulder pieces. Yeah, it feels Japanese inspired to me. As well as some of the shapes on like the gilding on the coat. But yeah, it has from the I based the whole aesthetic on art of the early 2010s, and something I noticed was higher saturation reds. It's interesting. It creates like really good contrast, having these really bright reds. But anyways, her coat gives off military vibes just from like the shape of the collar, as well as like having the boots and hat. It feels very military to me. The hat also, I don't know why. I don't know where I'm getting this connection from, but it feels like a delivery person, courier kind of thing. Don't know why. Don't know what that connection is, but that's how it reads to me. But it could also read military. The hat also feels kind of like childish, if that makes sense. It could be just because she's like a very cute, young looking character. Oh, she's Chinese. Okay, I'm totally reading it wrong. Oh, okay. I can see it. Okay, my bad. But yeah, I can definitely see the inspiration there. But yeah, military look. So I'm assuming she's like a knight or a military character person. Like her role is to do work for the military. She seems like a warrior and I don't know, exorcist, ghost hunter, has ghost magic. I'm not sure. Something in there. And she feels like our hero. So hopefully I'm reading that right. Yeah, she's so cute. Yeah, there is very good balance. I love the little details of the bright red. I love it on the sword and the hat. I'm wondering if there's a way you could bring this bright red touch into her boots. It's like the only place that's really missing. So it could be, I'm not sure. It could be a charm on her knees or her ankles, or a design on the boots. I'm not really sure, but I feel like that red touch is missing on the lower half. So just bringing that in somehow, I think would help you out a lot. But otherwise, very cohesive, really great shapes, great color story, good contrast. Oh, I don't know that character. The hat did look familiar, though. I was like, I've seen this hat somewhere. I'll see what you can put. Oh, from Genshin. Okay. I'm not very well versed on Genshin. Okay. Awesome. Did you have any other questions about her? I think, like I said, super solid design. Just missing that red in the boots or the lower half. I love the ghosts. I'm this ghost. That's me. That covers it. Awesome. Then we'll go on to this fella, our villain. Our villainous Vulpix. I can think of another V word. Ursula, careful not to spook anyone. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Okay. So this is his outfit and then also with the jacket on. Interesting. Okay, so this I feel like has a really great balance with the red. I like how it's kind of touching all the different parts of his design, where it's like in the eyes. I should look. What's going on with his eyes? Okay, so it's just dots. It looked like maybe it was like skull shapes or something. But anyways, but he's got it in the eyes, on the hands, the tie, on the shoes, and then obviously in the jacket as well. And I like the little touches of blue throughout as well, where you've got the blue on the lapels that matches with the pants. The black is also very, it's like a cool colored black, and then same with his skin tone, which it's got good contrast with like the rest of his coloring, with the the dark eyes and then the red iris pupils, and with his clothing and stuff. Yeah, really great contrast there. Good contrast between the different parts. I like how the same with the other characters. I really like how the kind of warmth in the browns for like the belt matches really well with the red and the gold and stuff. The only thing I would say is I really feel like his design is more cohesive with the jacket on. Because it brings in that gold through a lot more, whereas like without the jacket it feels a little bit plain. Whereas like without the jacket the only touch of gold is like the belt. Whereas, like, I'd maybe like to see, I don't know, it could be like a cufflink here. It could be maybe some detailing on the gloves. Maybe like a lapel pin. Bringing it into his shoes somehow. Maybe with like laces or studs, or maybe some buttons or detailing on the pants. Just bringing that gold through more. Because I think that's the only thing that's missing. Maybe the brown. I'm not sure. I kind of like having it kind of just intersecting at the middle, but maybe the gold will need to be balanced with the brown, but I don't know. He's meant to always have his jacket on. I just did it without, so I could make the 3D model easier. Oh, interesting. Okay, if he always has the jacket, then yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Though I do think bringing the gold studs into his shoes and pants would help, because it is very top focused. But yeah, he's cool. It's an interesting villain. He definitely has that villain vibe. He's got that kind of like Cheshire grin to him, where I feel like he's trickstery. Yeah. He also looks undead, like some kind of monstery guy. Like, I feel like he's gonna try and get me into, like, a bad deal where he, I don't know, steals my soul. He's a trickster type and undead. Awesome. Then you got that through. Yeah. Yeah. Shape-wise, I think everything's looking good. So yeah, there seems to be for his shapes, there's like a mix of rectangles as well as circles. Obviously, he's got like the very circular head, and then on the buttons. Yeah, I think bringing in some kind of like button or stud stuff to his shoes and pants would help with that shape, because it's very rectangular down here at the bottom. So yeah, bringing in some more of those circle motifs would also help. Glad the characters are able to communicate more story with just their designs. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, that's a good character design, where you can tell something about the story or the character just by looking at them at a glance. Yeah. Yeah. Did you have any other questions about this guy? Was there anything I didn't cover for him? Hehehe. Listen, I'm just here to tell you guys what you're doing good, so that you don't stop doing what's good. And give some pointers on things to try. That's all I do. He's from Chicago. I don't know what you do. He has that very like that kind of like 20s 30s gangster vibe. Yeah, I'm not sure how you'd bring in Chicago. But he definitely comes across as like that kind of gangstery look. What is character appreciation day? I don't know. I was just coming up with a fun title because we have a bunch of character designs to go over today. So we're just appreciating these character designs. And I think you all should appreciate your own character designs or designs that you really love. This is not a real day, but I'm making it a real day. Yeah. I was wondering if anyone was going to ask about that, because I don't know. I don't know if it's a real day, but I think everyone should appreciate their OCs. I'm here for this. Awesome. Well, I'll start a petition to make it. Yes, I want it to be a statutory holiday in every country, so we all get time off work. The banks close. We all get a rest. Whose character design? Yeah, it's Rena here. He's a undead trickster from Chicago. That's his story. That's all I know. And he T-posing. Pretty much, yeah. Okay, well, this is actually the end of our stream because we only had a few submissions this time. Makes sense. Early in the year is a busy time for people. And a lot of people submitted for our long form. So hold on. So, this is the end of our stream. But if you are someone who would like your character designs appreciated, March 3rd is Employee Appreciation Day. It's true, they are the employees of our comics, so let's appreciate our employees. But yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, this is the end of our stream. Next month we'll be doing more critique streams. If you would like to get your characters appreciated or your stories looked at, you can sign up for our Patreon. There should be links down below. And thank you to everyone who submitted. You guys are lovely and awesome and brave, and thank you for supporting us, and I hope you guys got something out of this. Alrighty. Goodbye, everyone.